Reflective listening is the ability to bounce back at them what they're saying. This is a skill that doesn't come naturally to us. When involved in a conversation, we tend to talk about ourselves or give advice. We try to make them feel better, or agree or disagree or tell stories. In order to be a good reflective listener, we need to set aside our own wants briefly and work to make sure that your person gets your attention, your empathy, and that you show them that you understand what they're saying. Reflective listening helps people know if you're understanding them, and at its best, it can help them clarify their thinking. It helps them understand what's underneath those thoughts and emotions, and help them find solutions on their own. So it's basically a magical thing. I spent a year learning this skill in grad school, and I've spent the next 7 years reminding myself to use it. It is my most powerful therapeutic tool, but it's so simple that most people can learn the basics and begin to practice it on their own. The simplest level of reflective listening is to simply show them that you understand them by summarizing what they say and asking them if you got it right. If you try to do this without a relationship, then this can sound really patronizing and condescending. So make sure to be sincere. Basically, you take what they said and you put it into your own words with a question mark at the end. So let's use an example of a teen who really wants to go to a concert with his friends. He might say, "Mom, all my friends are going to this concert. Ariana Grande is the best singer ever. And the opening band is awesome, and I've saved up all the money and I just have to go. You are so unfair." So staying on the content level, you might say something like, "You really want to go to the concert tonight." This may seem so basic, so obvious, that we often just skip over it. But remember, good listening isn't just about understanding, it's about showing them that you understand. And making little reflective statements like this can go a long way to help the other person feel understood. It doesn't do you or them any good if you understand them, but they don't know it. Hearing it back can be a good part of the healing process for some people. You can also use this if you're unsure exactly what they mean. For example, you could say, "Let me see if I'm getting this straight. You're angry with your sister because she borrowed your astronomy books without asking?" It's also important to ask if you got it right. For example, I was recently in a session with a couple, and the woman was explaining how it made her feel shut down and upset when her husband always tried to solve her emotions instead of listening to her. While talking with the husband about empathic listening, he seemed frustrated about her not accepting his quick advice. I threw out a guess. "So when she doesn't accept your advice, you feel rejected?" He took a moment, paused, and then clarified. "No, it's not that," he said. "I can handle my solutions being rejected, or even me personally being rejected. It's that I just love fixing things. It's part of who I am." So I tried again. "So you feel a little lost? Like unsure of what to do if you can't be a fixer?" He replied, "Exactly. Like, what is my role? I want to be doing some good. And if I can't fix anything, I feel like there's no point." After I understood him, and he knew I understood him, I was able to address his real concern by explaining that just listening to and validating emotions can actually be more helpful, and it genuinely does some good. And because he knew that I understood him, he accepted me and my advice. This is basically staying on the content level. The next level is to use reflecting to help them clarify their thoughts and make it more concrete. So when people understand why they're feeling or thinking that way, then there's greater potential to find solutions or acceptance. When this is done from a "I will fix you" attitude, this will feel like judgment. So don't try to diagnose them or be their therapist. Be sincere, be humble, be curious, and ask questions to clarify, but not to guide the conversation. So this is the emotion level, helping them understand their emotions. So back to the concert example, you could say something like, "You're upset that I don't trust you," or "You probably feel annoyed that I don't get you," or "You're feeling sad and angry that you can't do something really important to you." Now, at this point, you may be wondering, why am I making these statements instead of just asking the question, "Are you feeling angry?" Well, here's why. With good listening, statements are often better than questions. Because, number one, questions are about your agenda and not theirs. Questions make it so that you are now directing the conversation in the direction you want it to go, instead of being the listener who is trying to understand. You become the person deciding where the conversation should go. You may hear what you want to hear, but they may not be able to say what they're trying to say. This discourages the other from speaking their mind. Number two, questions often make the other person feel interrogated or on the defensive, and this leads them to being less open. Now, I'm not saying you should never ask questions, but in general, people ask too many questions under the guise of listening. Try to catch yourself, let go of your agenda, and use more reflective statements. Pay close attention, and you'll see that it will invite more openness. At its very best, reflective listening helps the speaker express and understand concepts that are at the leading edge of their comprehension, meaning that they don't really understand them yet, but by talking about them and expressing them, they'll learn things about themselves and their emotions that they didn't know before the conversation. So this is the meaning level, helping them express what all this means to them. So when we bounce back something at the meaning level, we might be saying something like, "You're afraid that I'm saying that you're a bad person, or you're not good enough to go to that concert. You really want to be trustworthy, but it hurts to think that I don't believe in your abilities. You're frustrated that you don't have complete freedom in your life yet. And I bet it's really annoying to you to have rules that you don't agree with. Maybe this makes you feel like you don't have power over your own life." Or here's another example. "I'm pretty sure Marco loves me, but he doesn't put effort into big celebrations like my birthday or our anniversary. So you're feeling unappreciated and you wish for Marco to be more thoughtful and chivalrous?" Exactly. For example, for my birthday last month, ... and Amelia continues expressing herself. We don't need to go to the deepest level every time. When we use reflective listening, we can address content, feelings, meanings, and sum things up. Here's some examples of how that would sound. So from your point of view, it sounds like you're feeling, you believe, it seems like, what I guess you're feeling is, it might be that you... Some measure of guessing, like making these tentative statements, can be helpful. You're not trying to be a therapist, but rather to help yourself and them better understand. Also, don't diagnose, solve, judge, or argue. Don't tell the other person their motives or analyze them. Your goal is not to figure them out, but to get on the same page with them. Show them that you understand by summarizing, asking to clarify, and looking for deeper meaning. This video is an excerpt from my intensive course on how to help when someone you care about is depressed. This course has over 40 videos with specific skills that you can develop to be more helpful for the person you love. It includes how to help them open up and ways to help if they won't talk, what to do if they're suicidal, and specific strategies for managing your role. It includes helpful things you can say or do. If you're interested in watching the whole course, I'm giving it away for half price with this code, TherapyNut. Check it out on udemy.com.